Hello, my name is Jessica Cox and I'm the world's first armless pilot. Yes, I was born without my arms, but I fly planes. And one of the greatest things that I have is my wonderful mother, who was born in the Philippines, and she came to the United States. When she gave birth to me, she really instilled in me the importance of hard work, of not giving up. With God, you can do anything. You know, it was very hard in the beginning being born with a disability and how people reacted to me. So many people told me that I couldn't do certain things, and it made me so angry, so frustrating. Because who's to say what someone can accomplish unless they're given the opportunity to prove themselves? And one of the things my mom was always worried about is how the world would react to me, how I would be able to conquer some of the everyday challenges like feeding myself, like doing everything to be independent. Those were her questions and those were her concerns when I was growing up. But she was also concerned about how the world would accept my disability. And I went to a public school and I was given some wonderful accommodations like a special desk, some special things like a special knob on the door so that I could get in and out of the classroom. And I was accommodated the best way I could so that I could contribute to that classroom setting. And it really set me up for success in life. I went on to college, and when I wanted to pursue my degree in psychology, I also needed to get a job. So one of the first jobs I ever applied to was a job that required making phone calls. And I remember going into this company and being very nervous about the interview, about how people would react to me. Would they accept me? Would they include me in their company? And when I went through the interview process, they asked me all the questions. They didn't ask me about my disability, and I wasn't sure if they were going to reject me for the job opening. But turns out, as I was leaving, I caught a glimpse of one of the other employees who was blind. And seeing that he was working there and he was included was very encouraging for me. I ended up getting the job, and on that very first day, I ended up being one of the most successful callers. So it's interesting how people with disabilities can achieve great things despite some of those expectations that others have about what they can or cannot accomplish. I am fortunate that after college, I was given the opportunity to fly a plane. And who would have thought that someone without arms, someone with a disability could do great things? But again, it goes back to my mom's belief in me that I could do anything, and that she always gave me the benefit of the doubt, that she said that if I worked hard for my goals, I could do them. And I ended up proving that right with the world and showing them that I could become the world's first armless pilot, and in turn share this message around the world that disability doesn't mean inability. And I've had the fortunate opportunity to speak in 27 countries around the world about inclusion, about how we can be more including of people with disabilities in the workplace. One of the things that we have seen in studies is that employees with disabilities are actually more loyal employees. Another study has shown that companies that include people with disabilities create a more secure environment, a more happy workplace, because those employees who may get a disability at some point in their life don't feel concerned about losing the job. So they create this environment of inclusion, a happier workplace, and as a result, it actually has been proven to increase the revenue of a company. So I encourage you to continue to include people with disabilities in the workplace, to be able to recognize that they do things in a different way, but it doesn't mean that they cannot accomplish it. And it may take a little bit longer, but you'd be surprised at what people can adapt to and what they can accomplish. One of the other points that I share when I speak all over the world is the importance of an acronym I called ACCEPT, and how we can be more inclusive in the workplace. But one of those points I really talk strongly about is the importance of acknowledgement, acknowledging people with disabilities. Too often, people with disabilities are seen as invisible. And that's unfortunate because there's wonderful things and that they can contribute. And so the first step is to acknowledge people with disabilities, is to understand that we do things in a different way, but disability does not mean inability. The second point I talk about is communication, the importance of asking the question, how can I help you? How can I help you be successful? Sometimes it includes just a little minor accommodation to help an employee with a disability become successful. But it's wonderful how much loyalty you'll experience from them, how they will contribute to inclusion, and how it will really make the company a better place. When I first started flight training, I had to convince an instructor to take me on as his student pilot. And that first instructor, I remember being on the phone with him and telling him everything I did, that I had a college degree, that I was a black belt in Taekwondo, that I was doing all these wonderful things. And it wasn't until the very end of the conversation when I said, I was born without arms. And all of a sudden it went silent. And at that point, my instructor could have chosen not to continue training with me, but he decided to give me the benefit of the doubt, and he invited me to come out and start my training. And he saw what I was able to do because he was able to be open to the possibility of someone with a disability. I then continued on with my training. I had another instructor who I had to convince to continue to train me. He wasn't convinced until he saw that I could text message with my toes. And when he saw me texting with my toes, he thought that I could perhaps handle the controls of an airplane. And he invited me out to train in his airplane. And it wasn't until 3 years later, actually to be exact, that I was finally able to fly an airplane on my own. And it was the most incredible moment. I remember it like it was yesterday. The toes of my right foot were wrapped around the yoke, my left foot held on that throttle, and I powered up the engine and raced down the runway, and I started to lift off. I was so focused that it didn't even hit me. I was flying the airplane alone. And I went around the pattern and I landed the airplane ever so beautifully. And as I climbed out of that airplane, proving to the world that disability doesn't mean inability. There's so much untapped potential out there in your community. There are so many people with disabilities who want to be employed, who want to contribute to your workplace. They just need to be given the benefit of the doubt. They just need to be given the opportunity. And my hope is that for all of you, when you do have that opportunity to employ someone with a disability, that you will give them the chance and you will help towards inclusion to make this world a better place. Thank you so much and have a wonderful conference.